I'd like to introduce today's speakers. We have Jesse Taylor, our VP of Business Development, as well as Lisa Conti, our RFP Associate, doing our demo. So take it away, guys.
Thank you, Ashley, and thank you all for joining us today. Very exciting day indeed. Long time in the making. Again, my name is Jesse Taylor. I'm the Vice President of Business Development for RPAG, and I'm so excited to be joining you all today to have essentially our launch of RFP Express. So, round of applause at your living room or office, wherever you are. This tool is very exciting. It's our latest generation of our RFP and fee benchmarking suite to complement the other RPAG tools and services. We've been working on this for quite a while in conjunction with top record keepers, as well as many of our providers through beta and soft launch. And we are just a few days away from the official launch, as Ashley shared, which will be March 20th. So I'll share a little bit about the tool, about RFP Express, how it works, how it operates. Then we're going to get into a demo portion, show the output. And at any time, please use your chat Q&A features, and our team of specialists will answer them as they come in. And then we'll also be taking Q&A at the end of the webinar. All right, well, today's session is on RFP Express. It's instant quotes and proposals from industry top service providers, and it revolutionizes the way that retirement plan advisors can receive quotes from the best providers in just minutes and instantaneously, or in a very short amount of time if you're looking for custom. It's our latest iteration of the tool. As you may well know, we have our PlanFees technology, which is our annual fee benchmarking, as well as our B3 provider analysis, which is our more in-depth live bid RFP, and RFP Express now complements that suite. So, for many of you who are RPAG members, this is very familiar to you. If you're not an RPAG member, here's a little bit about who we are. We're the industry's leading platform designed for lead advisors and institutions. Everything we do is about creating successful results for you as an advisor, as well as to help you protect your plan fiduciaries and bring successful outcomes to your plan participants. We have a three-tier system for our platform: service and support, unique and customized solutions to help you differentiate yourself, and then powerful technology that helps you with your scale and efficiency so you can grow your business. Collectively, RPAG members influence over $1 trillion in assets under influence, over 100,000 plans served, and over 10 million participants. Collectively, it's a large and powerful group within the industry, and it's always our pleasure to serve this great group of advisors. What we try to do in our technology, including RFP Express, which we're talking about today, is helping advisors in these core areas, whether it's growing your book of business or leveraging tech platforms, looking for competitive differentiators. We try to address advisors' biggest concerns. RPAG is fit. Well, RPAG is our overarching brand. We have a few different areas, a few different tools, technologies, and brands that you might engage with. We have RPAG Advisor Platform, which houses all the technology. We have FlexPath Strategies, which is our CIT and target date company. We have PlanFees, which is our fee benchmarking technology, and this will RFP Express really falls under that. And then we have WellSense, which is our financial wellness brand. Today, we're going to be focusing on our benchmarking suite and RFP Express in particular. A little bit of a timeline of our RFP technology and how we got to where we are today, going back to 2000, 2001, founding of 401k Advisors from our founder and CEO, Vince Giovinazzo. A few years later, in 2004, was the founding of RPAG. And not long after that is when we launched our B3 provider analysis report. No technology behind that, but a report that helped you streamline in a template. And many advisors who might be on the call today were using this back in 2005. And it was a Word document, a template to place side by side to really help advisors in the process of putting proposals together. And the infrastructure of that really remains to this very day, side-by-side quotes, but the technology behind it helps us streamline that process. Back in 2010, when I joined the company, is when we launched our first generation RFP proposal tool called E401k. Really, again, just helped automate that and really just place the service comparison between the providers. Didn't really have any outreach and integration with the service providers at that time. Then in 2012, we launched our second generation RFP with we got rid of the E401k name. It was the B3 provider analysis system and report, and it had live bids, connectivity with all the top providers. And over the past 10, 11 years now, that's really been what we've been building on and kept iterating. In 2015, dropped the B3 name officially, but it's still kind of a code name for us in the back end with the provider analysis. And today it's, the most powerful, precise, accurate live bid RFP report. And in 2020, we launched PlanFees, which is annual fee benchmarking. Not long after that, added an advisor compensation benchmarking. And we're so excited that now we're ready to launch RFP Express, and how that works in with that suite of the B3 or the full live bid RFP, as well as the PlanFees annual fee benchmarking. So let's talk a little bit about the reasons why we benchmark, why we have RFPs in the first place, right? So ERISA states that you have to determine available services, and a provider's assumed responsibility needs to be documented. Advisors need to evaluate fees of any of the services in any of those providers and monitor the quality of the services. So what's a best practice, right? That's why we build our tools to help advisors with the best practices and have fiduciary governance under ERISA. So they say best practices, establish and follow a prudent process. That's why we build our tools. We need to understand and document fees and conduct regular benchmarking of fees, services, investments. So the timeline, right? When it comes to the benchmarking challenge, that fee benchmarking, it's one of the core 3 F's of what we do: funds, fees, fiduciary. You need to analyze the providers that you're presenting to your client. Also, your competitors are leading with fee benchmarking. Competitors are talking about fees as investment due diligence becomes commoditized. Fee benchmarking was the next. Now it's fiduciary governance. But how do you continue to play defense and offense with fee benchmarking and RFP? And then you have to repeat the cycle every few years, right? We say every 3 to 5 years, depending on plan size. Obviously, your biggest clients are getting that, but we often find that there's a gap with the smaller clients who aren't getting a continuous RFP or benchmark or fee analysis. And that's why we aim to develop tools like PlanFees and RFP Express to help you fill that gap with your smaller or mid-sized clients. Let's talk a little bit about that, right? We have provider analysis. Industry-leading live bid RFP compares over 400 data points in a live bid apples to apples comparison. We have PlanFees and our PlanFees Prism 365. It's innovative annual fee benchmarking and advisor fee benchmarking. By far been our most popular tool we've ever launched in terms of utilization. And now we have RFP Express, instant quotes and proposals. Quick rundown, RFP provider analysis, share a little bit, over 500 data points, 5,000 reports annually, helps drive the database that we have for our PlanFees benchmark. You can dial up and down the report, but it's complex, it's precise, it's accurate, it's really good. And sometimes it's hard to utilize for some of your clients or for all of your clients, but in certain situations, it's great. There's a 5 to 10, sometimes even 15-day business day turnaround when working with this report, and that has to do with the back and forth between the providers and getting a really precise bid, and you might need to change some items, but it's really, really a customized to the plan pricing. And we think every 3 to 5 years with clients. You have PlanFees, accurate instant annual fee benchmarking, 50,000 reports annually on this tool that you can dial up or down the report too. It integrates with RPAG and both PlanFees. So some folks just access PlanFees directly through planfees.com. Other folks operate it through the RPAG portal. And it looks at total fees annually. And we think we should look at that. And the advisor fee report, the Prism 365, every 3 to 5 years is best practice for that. So how do we go from B3 provider analysis, 5 to 10 business days, to RFP Express, 5 to 10 minutes? Share a little bit about how we're getting there. What we did with RFP Express is we looked at it and we worked with all the service providers. And we said, hey, what do you need? You need to look at the size and complexity of a plan, the investment needs, system capabilities, strength and experience, and make sure it's a demographic match. But that has always worked, and you need that. So we looked and said, how can we cut down some of those variables to ensure that we can get pricing matrices and pricing algorithms instantaneously? So with RFP Express Instant Proposals, we worked with the providers to have preset best-in-class lineups. And we worked with each provider on this to ensure that it had a high scoring, high value funds, bringing them the right required revenue for providers who need that, or having really precise algorithms for other open architecture providers. And what we wanted to do is standardize the allocation and also the network. The $1 trillion across all of RPAG helped us leverage this with providers, and folks who weren't providing instant quotes or had a pricing matrix and everything was custom said, you know what, for the opportunity of RPAG, 100,000 plans in play, $1 trillion of assets under advisement, we're going to work with them and make sure that we're getting accurate instant pricing in there. So RFP Express, it has ease and timing of the PlanFees tool. It really just takes a few minutes to create a report, but also gives you that apples to apples comparison of the provider analysis. You can do instant quotes from top providers, and we'll share some of those providers that have that, or get custom quotes as well if a plan falls outside of that demographic match or outside of the parameters that a service provider has entered, or there may be some providers who aren't yet set up with the pricing grid, and you can get an instant quote, and could be anywhere from 1 or 2 business day turnaround, or even quicker. Very, very easy for them to provide that quote. We project over 10,000 reports annually created on this, and 10,000 quotes and proposals. So it's going to have high utilization. And we look at it as, for advisors, a powerful sales resource when you're working with new business, or if you wanted to provide it to smaller clients where you maybe haven't provided them with a fee, a quote, or a comparison in many years. As of today, the providers that we're working with for instant quotes and custom quotes right now, and this list is ever growing as we continue to onboard, but we focused really at the top of the spear in terms of providers, and we looked at utilization across our PAG and started there. So great providers like American Funds and Power, Fidelity, Nationwide, Principal, One America, T. Rowe Price, Trans, Voya, Census, ADP, Emeritus, Charles Schwab, John Hancock, Bestwell, and many, many more coming. We expect to have the top 25 to 35 providers on here through 2023. And if you have ones that you request, please let us know as we go and we onboard more providers. So let's look a little bit of RFP Express. I'm going to be passing it over to Lisa Conti soon, and she's going to be showing how you access it. But from either portal, very, very easy to access RFP Express. Right now, we're launching with RPAG on the portal. Very soon, it will be launched with PlanFees on that portal directly. But today, we're going to be showing how it works within the RPAG ecosystem. So I'm going to stop sharing and pass it over to my colleague and the most knowledgeable person in the industry when it comes to provider fees. She has more RFPs and benchmarking than anyone maybe ever in the history of our industry and the volume that she does, and she knows it all. So Lisa Conti.
Thank you, Jesse. Let me switch here and share my screen with you all today. I'm excited to show you our new tool, RFP Express. As you know, we've been working on it in the background here, so I'm really excited now to be able to have launch it and have all of you use it. So I'm going to show you a couple ways to first access RFP Express. The first being through an RPAG client, any clients that you have set up in the portal. If you have your plan set up here, you would just go ahead and click into your plan card. Within your plan card, one of the new features you'll see at the bottom is RFP Express. So along with all the other fee benchmarking resources, RFP Express starting on Monday will now be available. So you'll click into RFP Express and that'll take you into the portal. Before we do that, I do just want to speak to another way that you can access it from our main menu. You can go right into RFP Express. That will open up the tool. So say you just met a prospect, maybe you're early on in the sales process, you haven't even built their lineup or anything in RPAG yet. You don't have to do any of that. You can just click into RFP Express and enter the required data points there without having to build a client. But for ease of use, any of your existing clients and prospects, we're going to go ahead and click into RFP Express, and the tool itself will launch. You'll see a list of any previous reports that you've run for this client. So maybe you did it in the past, or you have the option of going ahead and starting a new report. So we're going to start our report today. We're going to call it our demo report. As you can see here, a lot of the data is pre-populated for us based on the data from your plan card. If there's anything that you need to update or change, you have the options here to make those selections. Anything with a star are going to be the required data points for you to enter. Say you are working with a prospect and you don't know the current provider, you have no interest in including the current provider. I'd make the recommendation here when you select your current provider, we have just a generic provider listed. Use any of those as your options. If you do have the current provider, please do include them. You'll get their service responses in your final report. So it's another data point you can speak to with your clients. The other required fields are going to be the total plan assets, as well as the plan type. So you can see here currently RFP Express is going to be available for 401k plans. In the near future, we do hope to expand that to other offerings, but for the initial launch, we'll be working on 401k plans only. Any of the record keeping fees, if you do plan to show these fees with your in the report, go ahead and fill them in here. If they're in the plan card, they'll also pull in for you. If you don't have them yet, or you don't plan to include your current provider information, you can just leave these blank. You don't have to include them. You can also change them later on in the process. So again, pretty quick here. This is all set up for us. There's going to be a couple other data points that are required for providers in order to get their pricing. So we are going to look to gather the contributions and distributions. These are not a required field, but if you do have them, sometimes it does help and have an impact on plan pricing. So please enter those. Otherwise, the only other required field are going to be the total number of participants. And this should be those participants that have an account balance. Once you enter those, you'll go ahead and hit next. And here we have all of our plan fact set. So this is what's going to be included in your report and what pricing is going to be based on. So if you need to make any changes, you can go on here, click those edit buttons. Otherwise, we're going to click next. And we're ready to get our quotes. So you can see here under a minute, we're already selecting the quotes and providers that we would like to include. So on this screen, on the left side, there's going to be some options and ways that you can filter for different providers to come up. It currently defaults to showing you all options available, but let's say you only want to focus on getting bundled requests from providers. You can go ahead and make that selection, and only options that are for bundled plans would come up. Vice versa, if you'd like to see unbundled only, you can do that as well. Some of the other filters that we're looking at, we will be setting up PEPs and exchange products here. Otherwise, anything listed as traditional is going to be just your normal 401k type plans. So if you were looking for something specific, you could use those options. As well as if you're looking for a provider, there's not a ton on the screen. You can definitely just scroll through, but if you wanted to only select certain providers here, you can use this option to narrow down your screen's view. Once you do that, you're over here. At the top of the screen are going to be your instant quote options. So as you see here, we already have the pricing for these plans. You can make these options, you can make your selections based on the pricing you're seeing here. You can also dive into these pricing scenarios in a little bit more details by clicking View Option Details. So the View Option Details gives you the breakdown at the top of the different fee components that make up the total plan cost. So it's going to be the record keeping fee. So in our scenario here, what's American Funds required revenue for this plan? If there was a TPA, you could potentially type in your TPA fees if you were doing an unbundled scenario. With investments, one of the challenges we have when we look at getting instant quotes is having providers know what the fund lineup will be. So you can see here, all plans are priced based on an assumed lineup. So the lineup will be displayed here. It's going to vary from record keeper to record keeper, and as well as a set allocation percentage for assets going into these funds. So the tool doesn't require you to enter any funds or enter any assets. It's going to go ahead and make these assumptions in order to be able to get you this quick quote pricing. With that, the next fee is going to be your advisory fee. And this is simply the fee that you've chosen to add into your plan. Record keepers are not tying any specific products to these related to advisor compensation. So whatever you entered for your advisor comp will pull into here. And that's how you get your total plan cost. So again, that's taking a look at what this box looks like. Sometimes you'll see providers may have more than one option. They may have two different products that they want to consider. So you'll see, if you see these little load more options, you'll be able to make some selections for the different offerings that they have. But from this screen, any of the instant quotes, again, pricing's here, pricing's ready. So we're going to go ahead and check off which providers here that we wanted to include and request our quotes from. Then we're going to go down. The next option of providers that we have are going to be custom quote options. So if this plan right now, we're in a $1.3 million plan, if for some reason the parameters were not a fit for these providers giving us instant quotes, or it's not an option that they've set up yet in the tool, they will be down here for custom quotes. So your report can include a mix of both these instant quotes and the custom quotes. Custom quotes are still typically responded to within 24 hours. So again, it's not going to be instant right now, but you can go ahead and make the selections of what potentially additional providers you'd like to include for custom quotes. Make those selections here. The request will be sent out to them. And then you're ready to go through and compare the quotes that you have. So in our compare quotes screen, you get a look again at the breakdown of the fees. Any of the instant quotes is going to be the same that you saw on the previous page, but if everything looks good to you, you would go ahead and select them that you want to include them in your report. And then you can see here the quotes that were sent out for custom quotes. Obviously, we just sent those. They haven't been responded to yet. So they're not going to be available for use if you needed to generate your report immediately. But providers will get those notifications. Again, once they go in and they submit their pricing, you will receive a notification email from RPAG that ADP has submitted their pricing. So you can go ahead at that time, come back into the report and select to include them in your report. In the meantime, we're going to focus on these providers that we do have our instant quotes on. If for some reason you selected one and ultimately you decide, oh, I don't want to see them anymore, you can go ahead and click the remove quote box. It'll take it off your screen here, and it just drops them down here to your removed quotes. If at any time you want to go ahead and restore them into your report, you would just click restore. It's a pretty easy workflow in how you're building your reports and choosing which providers you'd like to see. The only other options or decisions you have to make for your report are these options here. So as I mentioned in the beginning, we do have our current provider listed here. In this case, it was ADP. So it's defaulted to show that current provider. We already had the fee information set up. If we didn't have the fee information, or maybe we got a new disclosure, we can go in and change that information here and go ahead and save it so that the current plan fees will be most up to date in your report. If you ultimately decide you don't want to include them, you would just uncheck this box. So there's no need to have to include them, especially in scenarios you're working with a prospect for the first time. The other option you have is to display the plan fees prism average. So this is a cool feature where it links to our plan fees database. So there's no need for you to run a separate report. But it's just another way to kind of check the market and check where pricing is currently, check where pricing is across your bids with using the RPAG universe. So all those fees are going to pull into here for you. If you, again, don't want to show the plan fees prism in this report, you would just uncheck this box and it won't be included in your final report deliverable. Once we do that, we're ready to go ahead and hit generate report. You have a couple of selections. You can choose to include the client logo on the cover, as well as if you have a meeting date, go ahead and set the meeting date, and then you go ahead and select generate report. So reports generate into a PDF. So here we have your cover page. Again, it's going to have your client name, the client logo available. Just a quick little introductory page as Jesse talked on this, just what goes into plan pricing and what we're looking at, so you can give some speaking points to your plan sponsors. We cover what the plan assumptions were, so what information was used to get these quotes. And then we launch into the service provider summary. So this page here, you'll have your current plan information included if that was your selection, as well as any of the bidding providers that you selected to include. You'll have the product name that they're using, what type of setup is it? So is it just a traditional plan, or is it any of those exchange or PEP solutions? If there's a TPA name, the TPA's names would be listed here, as well as if there's any additional fiduciaries on the plan. So for some of these products, you may have, a PEP, you may have an investment fiduciary, you may have a 316 provider. So those details are able to be listed and displayed here for those scenarios that it applies to. And then we go into our total fee summary. So your total fee summary is going to look very similar if you presented our provider analysis reports in the past. It has the same breakdown of your record keeping fees, your TPA fees, the investments, and your advisor compensation, which brings you to your total plans cost. You have the side-by-side of each of the providers included with their breakdowns here. And here we can see we did, in this sample report, we have our plan fees average. This could be replaced by your current provider, or could, again, just be focused on your bidding providers. One note here, the final line item is going to be the per participant cost. This is going to be just a simple average based on the current plan fact set. Obviously, each participant's cost will vary based on if there's any asset-based fees or actual investments, but this is going to give you just a way to look at pricing, not just from a big high-level picture of the total plan cost, but on average, what a participant may pay. Some other considerations for the totals, again, is that these are just simple math. So we're just taking the total plan assets as they are right now. This is going to be a point in time measure, look at the plan. So based on the current plan assets, not using any future predictions for the plan, what those fees equate to, both as a percentage, a dollar, and the per participant average. The next section is going to be our service comparison. So as the provider analysis has the 500 data points, that report will still exist and is still accessible, but we did want to provide something in the RFP Express report that's not focused just on fees, somewhere that you can take a look at the top, some of the most commonly referenced areas that may be differentiators for plans. So you'll see we have about 20 different data points across 2 pages here that cover these different areas, going into how many assets under management do the providers have, how many participants do they have, as well as some items that will update plan specifically. So if we're in a $1 to $5 million plan, how many other plans of this size do they have? So these are some data points that you can speak to help your plan sponsors get to know these different record keepers. And then as we continue through the report, some of the final pages are going to be the investment lineups. So you'll have a breakdown of the funds, the allocations that are assumed for each of the pricing that's included here. And then the last pages are going to be a 1-pager for each provider where they can give their value proposition, kind of their why we win business pages. They'll each have that one spot where they can give their sales pitch. And finally, we end with the disclosures. Each provider will have their own disclosures, just like if you were getting a proposal for them, they all cover their disclosures in there. This is where those disclosures will lie for those providers, as well as just our standard system disclosures here. And with that, that's our demo of the tool. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it back to Jesse.
Just a couple of notes, been some great Q&A and chat. I know the team is answering them as they come along. Couple of items, pricing for this for RFP Express. So current plan fees subscribers, there will be no additional cost. This is added into your plan fees subscription. As long as you have the plan fees and Prism 365 bundle that many of you do have, our most recent version. If you still have the original subscription of plan fees, with just the PlanFees Prism report. This will be an additional $200 per year, but that'll get you all three reports: the annual fee benchmarking Prism, the advisor fee benchmarking Prism 365, as well as this RFP Express. So you want to lock in this deal. The fee will increase later on this year. So get this locked in, and you'll get that grandfathered in for some time, or for as long as we can. If you're looking for a deeper demo, please reach out to support at RPAG. His office line is right there listed, or if you scan this QR code on the screen, you can book a meeting directly to get a demo of the tool, see how it works. I'll pause there and say, thank you very much for coming today and engaging with us. Thank you for everyone who was involved with our beta testing over the past few months and helping us refine this tool. Thank you to all the service providers who are partnering with us on this. And as always, we are a feedback organization. All of our ideas and concepts, they come from you. They come from our members. So as you use this tool and you're looking for certain feature sets, or you're looking for certain customization, there's already been some great ideas on the Q&A and the chat. We take that in consideration, and we want to build a tool that works for you and your needs, while also weighing in how to ensure that the system stays quick and stays accurate and stays instant, and make sure that we can accommodate the needs and the customization that you're asking for while keeping it an efficient system. So thank you all for the feedback thus far. We look forward to continuing to evolve RFP Express into the most powerful, accurate, and instant RFP tool in the industry. And so thank you all very much. Final reminder, for anyone who already has access to that PlanFees bundle, this will go live on the 20th. That's next Monday. And you'll have access to RFP Express as you're working through the system. Don't hesitate to call into the RPAG support line and get some help on the tool. So thank you all very much.